Hello, this is Pastor Jimmy Stevens here in the Sanctuary of New Covenant Faith Baptist Church. I'm so delighted to have the privilege today of being part of a great testimony that you're going to enjoy from Brother Darren and Jayson and Duhon. And we're going to be talking about the great miracle of life and that beautiful baby boy, Jayson Duhon. So we want you to get ready, and we will begin this wonderful testimony about God still in the miracle working business. All right. My special guest again today, and we're here in the Sanctuary of New Covenant in the beautiful city of Lake Charles, Louisiana. And my special guest is Jasmine Duhon. How are you today, Jasmine?
All right.
And Darian Duhon. And we are glad to have both of you guys, young couples. So let me tell you, congratulations, Happy New Year. And we want you just to be comfortable. So why don't you just have a seat and we can begin this time together. My first question to both of you, and before I start, you guys are handsome. Y'all are handsome. How long y'all been married now?
December made a year.
Oh, December made a year. Okay, congratulations. A whole brand new year. Man, we've been through COVID. We have been through protests. We've been through issues like racism for Black people in America. We've went through 2 consecutive hurricanes. I'm talking about Laura, Delta, but we still made it. But one of my greatest joys was the other day when my little sister called me. She said she was babysitting baby Jayson, and she says he was crawling all over the place. I mean, this little brother was crawling all over the place. I think he asked for a hamburger, French fries. I know, not quite yet, but she was just ecstatic. And she said to me, we got to get this on tape because other couples need to hear the story of what God has done in your life. We want to begin with Jasmine. Jasmine, why don't you tell us the day of the birth of baby Jayson? Tell us something about the day of that birth.
On June 11th, I remember it was a Tuesday. I had went to the triage the night before complaining of pain. And they told me because the computer, the monitor didn't pick up anything, that nothing was wrong. And I kept telling them something is wrong, something is wrong. And they sent me home. And I didn't even know that the whole night I was having contractions and was in active labor. The morning when I got up, I was still trying to go to work that morning in so much pain. But when I went to the bathroom, I knew something wasn't right. So I called him over, and then I told my mom, and they rushed me to the nursing room on Gaucher campus. And then that is when they told me that he was basically here already. I was already at the tents and been dilated.
Wow. How many months he came for too early?
A little bit over 4 months. I was only 20 weeks.
All right. Where were you?
I was at work when she called.
Mm-hmm.
And when she said she's going in labor,
Yeah.
I was shocked.
Yeah.
And I was happy. And it was a little too early.
Mm-hmm.
And I was nervous. I got nervous.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got there, I was just telling her, like, she'll be all right. She'll be okay. She's strong.
Mm-hmm.
And we waited till the doctors came, and they came. I got a little boy out there.
Wow. So by the time you got there, was the baby already born?
No.
Okay. So how soon it was when you got there that your wife gave birth?
About a couple hours. When I got there, it was nobody at nobody at the death center. And we seen like the nurses at their other station, and they was just like, communicating with each other. And because I was in so much pain, and he shocked me, and because he's real, humble and quiet. And he just when he was like, somebody got to do something, somebody got to come, and that's when they seen something was wrong. And then one of the nurses, she checked me, and the first thing she did, she looked at me and she was just like, I'm so sorry, but you're in labor right now.
My name is Linda Jayson. I'm a nurse by trade. I'm Jasmine's Duhon's mother. June 11, 2019, Robber Valley started. Upon going to the hospital bringing Jazz, she was admitted. She was in full labor. Apparently, she had been in labor at home. In a couple of hours, the baby ended up being delivered. He just came on through. They took the baby. They brought him swiftly to the NICU. They had prior to that asked Jasmine what exactly what she wanted to do. And she said full code 100%. And I looked up and I said yes, because he's here to live and not die. And upon being in the NICU, when we went to see him, Jazz couldn't go at that time. The charge nurse looked at me and said, I don't understand. And I said, what are you speaking of? And she said, 23-week-olds, male don't live. I said, well, I want you to look at this incubator. I want you to look at the surroundings and know that you're walking on holy ground.
And when I went, my water bag didn't break yet, but I was already dilated. So I had to be put kind of upside down in the bed. And while we're just trying to, take everything in, the doctor's coming in with these papers for us to sign and telling us that, they asked us, when the baby comes, would you rather us resuscitate and do something about it and help him, or would you rather just hold him in your arms until he took his last breath? And I was not expecting to hear that at all. But I told them, they came with the paper to say this is the percentage of survival at whatever weeks, and he had that day was exactly 23 weeks. So me going the day before, if he would have came the day before, they wouldn't have done anything. So with me holding out and waiting till Tuesday, then they had to do something with my permission. So I told them to take the paper out of the room. I didn't want any negativity, get out of the room. And my mama started praying. His sister and his mom was there, and they started praying. And even the nurses was coming in like, we have never seen this before. And we was even in the midst of me being in pain and being scared, we still had church in the room. And that was something that the nurses said that they never seen before. And when he came, they wrapped him in a blanket and they just showed him. I wasn't able to hold him. They just showed him to me and they hurried and rushed him out the room. But I personally had a team of about 15 to 20 different nurses and doctors in the room, and that was shocking to me to have so many people in the room.
The doctor stated because he felt he was stronger than he even realized, gave him formula. And upon giving him formula, his intestines popped a hole. So arrangements was made to helicopter him for emergency surgery at Children's in New Orleans.
I think I got a call. And she was adamant. This baby is gonna live. You remember her saying something like that? Did you remember something I'm hearing? Saying something like that? I'm talking about faith. And so the Bible teaches us in the book of Jeremiah, God says, I knew you before you were formed in your mother's womb, which tells us that when we come to earth, all of us come with a special purpose in mind. Well, tell us from the transition of where you had the baby Did they move the baby to another hospital?
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
The Tuesday that he was born, the same night, they tried feeding him for the first time, but his body wasn't physically ready for that, and he had a perforation in his upper colon to where the muscles wasn't ready to start contracting for food, and they didn't notice it until a couple of days later when they did all the MRIs and the tests, and it was actually Father's Day when I had just got discharged out the hospital, and I had just gave him his first Father's Day gift, and we was just setting in our head, okay, our baby's here, our baby's in the NICU, and we was just kind of getting comfortable with that idea. And right after I gave him his first Father's Day gift, I received a phone call from the NICU on Goche, and they said, we need you here as soon as possible to sign papers because we found some things that are not okay, and he needs to be helicoptered to New Orleans. So, and I wasn't physically healed either, but because of all the machines and the ventilators that he was on, I couldn't get on the helicopter with him. So we all hopped in the car and we had to drive 3 hours to New Orleans to follow him in the helicopter to get to New Orleans because Goche didn't have the capabilities of doing what they needed to do for him at that moment.
Did you, in arriving to those, did you remain there with the baby?
I was able to stay there due to my maternity leave. The hospital, Children's Hospital, has a program on their hospital campus. It's called the Hall's House. It is a house where if your child is receiving any type of care from the hospital, like long-term care, the family is able to stay at the house on the campus. So I was able to get a room there, but he had to return back to work.
Well, that's a great statement because you really read my mind. Because that's the question. We men, we're left brain, we logical. Yeah, sometimes we get into the emotional zone, but we're kind of more logical. How was that as you thought your wife or the mother of your child is in New Orleans, you back to tell us what was going through your mind? How was you dealing with that as a new father?
It was scary. Like, I was back home working, and all I could do is call and see everything, how they doing. And I could hear in her voice, she was a little nervous because I'm not there, and I'm son in the NICU. And it was just, I couldn't work like how I would work. And I was just thinking about them all the time and seeing what's going on. And she'd call me with the updates, just nervous. Like I was working, and so many people wanted to see a picture of my son.
They thought it was a new job, and the manager that he had thought that it wasn't true, and he was so adamant about seeing a picture that he wasn't comfortable with giving him. So I mean, he made his job even more, hard because it was some instances where I needed him to get back on the road because of the updates they was. I mean, it was such an emotional roller coaster that I don't think anybody would want to be there, alone by themselves. Like, I need somebody to be here with me. And one night, I received a phone call. He had just went. It was a Monday because him and my mom went back home the Sunday night, and the Monday I received a phone call at around 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and they had told me that Jayson had COVID. And after I heard the word COVID, I fell to the floor and I hung up. And I called in and I was like, I know you're going to be in trouble at work, but you have to turn around. You have to turn around. Our child is COVID. And they was able to bring him back. they called me at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, but it happened around midnight. And it was so funny because at midnight I just could not sleep at all. And when I finally got to lay myself and go to sleep, then I received a phone call to say that that's what was happening at midnight. So I mean, he had to be on the road back and forth, and that kind of put a wedge between him and his job.
Well, I want to give you some admiration as a man, because I heard you say, and I could feel it in my heart. I love my new baby. I love the mother of my child. I want to just commend you for that. We live at a time, that sometimes that does not come from a man. And we thank God for all of that. Now, in the middle of all this, Jayson is going through, you're going kind of going through stuff on your job. Some married cake came forth, some wedding came forth. I mean, you know what I'm saying? The whole wedding thing and marriage thing. I'm gonna start with you, brother. You got to tell me about that.
So I proposed to Jazz, and we didn't want to get married. We wanted a big wedding. And our son was still in the NICU, and it was still hurting us. And I know she was feeling down. So I wanted to surprise her and tell her I want to get married in the NICU by our son. I wanted him to be there as a family. And I told her, she was so excited. And when I told her, she was like, "Oh my God, what are we gonna do? What we, like, who we gonna get to do this, do that?" And I was like, "We can find out. we just want to get married in the NICU."
All right. So y'all found a preacher somewhere?
Yes.
Where y'all found a preacher? Y'all found a preacher. I got to do this. You got to tell me the truth.
So Serena we was feeling so down.
Yeah.
And Serena took us to this church. And the pastor of this church is very religious.
Oh.
And when I say that he dropped everything, took his hand, was there when we needed to come, and I just felt like giving him that gift of being able to actually be there for us, because that's what he really wanted to do, and he showed that. Mm-hmm. And he showed so much love and care, and to be able to ask him to do something like that, and to see that he gladly accepted that duty, it really made us feel good and welcome.
Well, y'all blessed. Y'all found a preacher. Matter of fact, the preacher looked a little bit like me, right? So I was kind of running that. Very good. All right. So you guys get married, and let me tell you something. The Bible says that marriage is honorable in all things. And I think the greatest gift to give to one another, which you did, was to come together in holy matrimony, and especially give that gift. I like how you said that. Family, a family that is ordained not by God through holy matrimony. All right, very good. Now, Jazz, this is for you. What was the whole process and aspect of support? I know God gave you some support. I mean, what kind of support? Who came to the rescue? Tell us a little bit about how God provided support for you in the time of everything.
I guess me being, if I'm not comfortable, I'm kind of on the shy side, and I felt like I really didn't have friends or my own little circle, and I kind of feel like that I was alone as a person. But going through this journey, I was open to, you really do have people behind you. Even people that I didn't know was coming to the hospital, like special friend Bishop Johnson. He drove, I lived almost 2 hours from where he lived to the hospital. And we never met, we never spoke, but he knew us through Serena. And he drove that time to come visit me and Jayson in the NICU, to pray over us, to talk to me. give me spiritual advice. And for me to see people was coming out of the woodworks, to come show love and support, even if, haven't met them before. Friends, family, especially Serena. especially Serena. I don't know. It just opened my eyes and my heart up to know that I am loved, and people do see and watch me. That you don't always need to have somebody in your face 24/7 to know that they, love and care.
Well, I tell you what, there were, I'm sure you're aware now, there were all kind of prayer lines for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, your mother set up some prayer intercessors that those prayers was going right to the throne room of God. And God has a way of doing that. He says, I will never leave you nor forsake you. And I think many times he's talking about his presence, but his presence through other people that came forward. Tell us about bringing the baby home. And then how long it was till y'all all three got back to Lake Charles, Louisiana.
Within the 6 months, they looking at us, speaking to us, saying he's ready to go home now. He has met all obstacles, and we said through Jesus Christ, but he's not sucking enough to maintain. So we need to put a feeding tube in. And so I looked at Jasmine. I said, Jasmine, you have come through your valleys. Stand. Let them put the feeding tube, and we're bringing baby Jayson home. And so he brought him surgery, put the feeding tube in. 72 hours after placing the feeding tube, Jazz called me back and said, you need to come on in. We bringing him home.
The weekend that we got married, the Saturday, the nurses was, making jokes, and they was like, well, did you get any gifts for your wedding, even though it was, short, short notice? And I said, no. I said, but I really would like a certain gift. And her and the doctor was like, well, what is it? And I was like, I would love to bring my child home. And because at that point, the only thing that was keeping him there for them was that he wasn't completing the full bottle amount that they had on paper. Mm-hmm. And I was just saying, he's doing everything else. We can work on that at home. Like, y'all, he's more alert now, so he's knows. Just watching him on camera, just staring at the ceiling or staring at the wall, he could be home, working on stuff like that. And they thought I was joking, and I was like, no, I'm serious. Monday, I am taking him home. I am taking him home. And that was a Sunday because he had to go back to work. So I was sitting in his room, and one of the nurses came in, Sharice, and I'll never forget her name. And she came and she said, you were serious? And I was like, yeah, I was very serious. And so I said, I don't know what y'all need to do or say or who y'all need to talk to, but Jayson needs to come home. And so then she said, I'll work on it for you. And the next morning, I was still in his room. I didn't go back to my room at the Hawks house. And I just kept looking at Jayson, and I was like, you're coming home. And I was like playing with him. I said, you can smile and giggle all you want, but you coming home with me. And the nurse came in with the doctor, the same doctor that had told us all this horrible stuff of the outcomes of what Jayson may become. The same doctor that admitted him and gave us all, it was the same doctor that discharged him. And when they came in, they just looked at me, and I knew at that moment, but I didn't say anything. And when they came in, she said, do you have his car seat? I said, no, but somebody gonna get on the road from Lake Charles and come bring me a car seat. And I called, Darren couldn't get off, so I called my mom, and I was like, I need his car seat, I need his clothes. And she said, I'm getting on the road right now, I'm getting on the road. And because of where he came from, we had to stay overnight. They put you in a room, a sleep room with the baby to be monitored. And we had to stay 2 nights in that room. And there's a thing called the car seat test. he has to be able to sit in a car seat for the amount of time to get home and not desat. So his numbers and his heart rate, his breathing, his oxygen can't drop sitting in the car seat because they mean he can't drive, he can't ride home. And his first car seat test, I mean, as soon as we put him in the car seat, it went downhill. And I just wanted to break. And my mom was like, no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. Put him back in his bed, let him lay down, let him rest for a minute. And she said, we're going to try it again. Well, it took him about 3 car seat tests. Mm-hmm. And towards the end of the last one, he just was tired. He just, was fed up with it. And so then that same doctor was like, okay, well, he's not ready to go home. He's not. And so then that's when my mom pulled her nurse card. And then she said, who sits in the car? She said, even us as an adult don't sit in the car for more than 3 hours. Don't you pull over to the gas station for a break? She said, so if we have to, we're going to pull at every gas station down the highway to make sure that he's okay. And even the other doctors and nurses was like, send that baby home. Just send him home.
That's great. Darren, tell me how it felt having the family finally home. Your son, your wife, and tell me what kind of went through your heart.
It was a big release. Like, I was so happy. Like, I didn't want to go back to work the next day. Like, to see them home with my baby, man, it was so warm. Like, I was happy. Yeah, that was a big Christmas present. Like, and like to see her smiling, like everybody happy, like my mom and them happy. They were still praying. And I was so happy.
Well, now how old is Jayson now? And how is he doing?
Jayson is 18 months. And when I say he is such a firecracker, he is such a firecracker. And when people ask, well, how's the baby? And the only word I can say is bad. And that's when my mom was like, yeah, but if he didn't have that fighting spirit, he wouldn't have been here in the first place. So you take the bad with the good. Because if he wasn't strong enough in that NICU, he wouldn't have made it. So she said he has a very strong, warrior spirit. So, I mean, even if he, tabbed everything, I'm happy with it because he couldn't have been, there at all. So, I mean, he's not walking yet. So he's in the medical term, he's kind of behind. And I think the physical therapist and everybody is so fed up with me because they be putting, goals for him. And I'd be like, he's going to do it when he do it. I'm okay with it. I mean, because I'm not going to push him like y'all going to push him because I'm happy that he's even here. Yes. So I don't take, I appreciate the science in the medical field, but it's some things that I put a limit on when it comes to Jayson because I know that he already then beat the goals that they said he wasn't.
Well, I like that fighting spirit because that was a little baby in the Bible, believe it or not, named Jacob. And while he was in his mother's womb, he had a twin. And when he came out, guess what he was doing to his little brother? He was holding on and wrestling with him and fighting him because he had a fighting and a warrior spirit. My last question is this. Names are very important. Names are very important. Every name has a meaning. How did y'all come up with Jayson?
Jayson is my maiden's name. Yes. And I am my dad's only child, and I'm a girl. Uh-huh. And I guess I felt some type of way when everybody was like, well, your daddy really wanted a boy so bad. He wanted a boy so bad. And when he found out it was a girl, he still was happy with it. Which I ended up being the tomboy that he wanted because I played sports and everything. But my last name was spelled Jayson, Jason. But when Jayson came, I spelled it Jayson. but it's still pronounced the same. So that was my way of pushing my dad's name forward.
Mm-hmm.
His middle name is Joseph. Darren's middle name is Joseph. Darren's dad's name is Joseph. And my grandfather on my dad's side name is Joseph. So Joseph comes from both sides. So that is how we came up with Jayson Joseph.
I love it. So Jayson has both of you guys.
Mm-hmm.
He has the Jasmine in him, Darren in him. He has the Duhon in him, the Jayson in him. He's just well put together. I want to congratulate both of you. I am so grateful. And what have you learned from this? Every experience, God teaches us something. We learn something that gives him glory. Tell me what was up with you, and then Darren, I want you to think about it a little bit. But what did you learn from all of this?
Before I had Jayson, I was fighting with the virtue of patience. And I kept saying, why am I so impatient? This don't make no sense. And then I guess coming to church and seeing everybody else with their testimonies, and I was like, oh, their testimonies are so powerful and so beautiful. And I was like, I didn't get to that point yet. And I was like, why would I ask for a testimony? And so then I was like, I just need to work on my patience so bad. You know, I just want stuff done at that moment. And Jayson being in the NICU for 6 months, he didn't come home in a moment, you know, when I wanted him to. When usually most people have their kids and you go home with your kid, and I had to be wheelchaired out without my child. And I had to learn patience, because you have a child that's still growing in the NICU for 6 months. That takes patience not to, you know, go completely crazy waiting for him to come home. So my lesson was patience.
I tell you what, well said, because guess what? Patience just doesn't come falling out the sky. The Bible says tribulation worketh patience. And so to have a little patience, you have to go through storms of life. But look what the testimony is. Great testimony. What did you learn in all of this?
It's just like my wife says, like patience. Like sometime my patience got a little short, but I waited and keep praying about it. And like, it just, like, I was so happy that my son came home and my wife, and like, I was just so patient about it, but it's
weird, because it's like you wanted the word patience, but yeah. I mean, you're forced to learn it because there's nothing you can do about it.
Right. You well said. The same scripture says, that's what it said. Tribulation works patience. Patience works experience. Experience brings forth hope, and hope makes not ashamed. So through this all, you got a little tribulation, you got some patience, you got some experience, but now you have hope. And you, believe it or not, you're going to share this testimony again. There's going to be some other couples that God is going to use this same experience and this same testimony. And I believe what we are doing here, that's going to be literally thousands of folks that's going to see this. So y'all get ready for some phone calls. Y'all get ready for some emails and some texts, because God is going to use this particular story. Well, this has been Pastor Jimmy Stevens. I've really enjoyed being with both of you guys. Amen. And please, the first year of your anniversary, your marriage anniversary, when's the first year? Well, the second year, I want some cake, ice cream, and everything that I didn't get, all right? All right. This has been Pastor Jimmy Stevens with Darren and Jasmine Duhon. And we've been talking about God is still in the miracle working business. I just can't wait for Jayson to get a little bit bigger so he can help me around the church, preach a little bit, teach a little bit, sing on the praise team, and God use him to his glory. God bless you, God keep you, and you have a great day.